Space Jam is the live-action computer animated film, basically, that features Looney Tunes and other basketball players such as Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, and other famous, mostly retired basketball players. And this movie basically became a hit back in the 90s and stuff like that. And the story basically revolves around Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes, basically. So Michael Jordan is a retired basketball player. He's basically done with his basketball career. He doesn't really play basketball anymore. And while in the other world, which is the Looney Tunes universe and stuff like that, the Tunes find themselves in a terrible situation when these little aliens who are from a planet known as Moron Mountain and stuff like that, or a place called Moron Mountain somewhere on some kind of moon or planet base or something like that. And these little aliens are being transformed into these gigantic beasts who eventually become basketball players, and they're known as the Monstars, and they're going to challenge against the Looney Tunes against a basketball game. And if the Tunes win, they get their freedom. If the Looney Tunes lose, then they have to become slaves for Moron Mountain. And in order to prevent that from happening, the Tunes have to find help from practically the greatest basketball player of all time, which is Michael Jordan. Space Jam is a very fun movie. It really is. I remember having memories of watching this movie as a kid. I thought it was so great. Now that I'm older, I watch this movie now and stuff like that. It's still such a very good movie. It does have a lot of problems with it. Major problems, actually. There are a lot of problems in Space Jam, but this is still such a very, really great looking movie. This is some of the best, live-action, looking movies I've ever seen since Who Framed Roger Rabbit. How everything is set up, the voice acting for the Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Sylvester, Tweety, everything is perfect. The voice acting is top-notch in this movie. Michael Jordan is somewhat likable in this movie. He tries his best in this movie. He's good in this movie, honestly. One of the things that I really do love about Space Jam is the action sports and stuff like that. You can tell that the Tunes are trying so hard to train with Michael Jordan, because this is basically their life, basically, literally. This can affect their life if they lose this basketball game and stuff like that, and they need one of the greatest basketballs of all time to help them. And the story is fun to connect with. You can connect with the characters and stuff like that, even though we know every single character in this movie, and we've seen these characters before, and not only cartoons, but in basketball and stuff like that. We know all of these characters, and we get to connect with them, and it's just so fun to see two totally different, one set of cartoon characters versus basketball, and if you mix that together, you get Space Jam, basically. And one of the things that I also really love about Space Jam is that Michael Jordan gets convinced, basically, to join back in basketball, at least in this film and stuff like that. And he gets convinced by the Looney Tunes and stuff like that. If they never had a challenge between the Tunes and the Monstars, he probably would have never gotten back to his basketball career, at least in this movie. And the connections that Jordan and the Tunes share in this movie are really fun. And one of the things that I also really found so touching about Space Jam is that it always involves teamwork. Almost every single thing in this movie is important when it comes to teamwork and especially and stuff like that. Because the Tunes couldn't do all this by themselves and stuff like that. They needed someone to help them. If they did this basketball game by themselves, they would probably be screwed against the Monstars. And because there's a lot of team up brought into this film by Michael Jordan helping the Looney Tunes, this film is a lot of fun to watch. And the basketball scene moments when they're fighting against the when they're going against the Monstars and stuff like that, they're very fun. Sometimes they can be a little too wacky, but what do you expect from Looney Tunes? I really had no problem with it, actually. I thought it was very, very funny at some moments and stuff like that. There was a lot of action thrown into those basketball scenes. There was a lot of comedies and stuff like that. They had everything in those scenes. They were really fun to watch and satisfying as well. Now let's talk about my flaws that I do have with Space Jam, because Space Jam is flawed. It's not a perfect movie, nowhere near a perfect movie in my opinion, but it's still a good movie, a very good movie. But let's talk about my flaws that I had with this movie. Sometimes, not with the Looney Tunes, but with the other like actual people actors, their acting can be over the top sometimes, and it just makes the acting bad a little bit, honestly. Michael Jordan is sometimes okay, but all the other actors, they just go over the top and stuff like that. And I think, especially Bill Murray, and Bill Murray is one of my favorite actors too and stuff like that. Sometimes he does go a little over the top in this movie, when he's in some certain scenes at least. Another flaw that I also had with Space Jam, and it's very noticeable too, there are some moments in the movie where it feels a little rushed for some reason. There are some moments, maybe in the middle of Space Jam, where everything feels rushed and stuff like that. Like, I think there's I haven't seen this movie in a while, so I don't remember it. I think there's some moments where after their training, not too long after their training, they start a basketball game with the Monstars and stuff like that. And I thought that was a little rushed and stuff like that. I think they should have added more to the story and stuff like that, because one of the biggest problems I had with Space Jam was sometimes the story does feel rushed. It really does. But yeah, those are basically my only flaws with this movie. Those are my only two flaws with this movie. They're I guess you could say they're pretty big flaws, but Space Jam is still such a good movie. I love this movie. I've loved it since I was a kid. I still love it today. I think it's a movie that everyone has basically loved for a long time, basically. It's been a hit in the 90s. It's still a pretty big hit today. Space Jam 2 has been talked about and stuff like that. Are we going to see LeBron James in Space Jam 2? Maybe, maybe not. But the first Space Jam is such a really good movie. It really is. And one of the reasons why Space Jam has been so beloved is because it's so memorable, basically. It's such an original story and stuff like that, and almost no one could really think about it. But you really think someone would think about a story about Looney Tunes playing basketball with Michael Jordan? Come on. And the story does work. It really did. It surprised people. And it surprised me. Space Jam, I love this movie, even though it has a lot of flaws. Not two major flaws, basically, for me. Even though this has two major flaws for me, I still love Space Jam. It's such a good movie. And if you really love Looney Tunes and you really love basketball, then I think this is definitely the movie for you. Especially if you haven't seen this movie. I'm going to give Space Jam a B+. Okay, so there's my review of Space Jam. Guys, thank you so much for always watching my movie reviews. Look forward to other movie reviews that I'll be doing and stuff like that on my channel. Again, I'm going to see Incredibles 2 and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom hopefully on June 21st, and I'll be reviewing them maybe on the same day. I'm not sure. The same day I review them. I don't know if I'm going to review them on the 21st, but maybe the 22nd. But anyway, you guys are always the best. Thank you guys always for watching my movie reviews and my content that I make. You guys are the best. I love every single one of you. Keep on watching my videos that I make. If you support me, I'll support you back because you guys are the best. I love every single one of you. I'll keep on saying that. And I'm at 375 subscribers. I can't wait to get to 400. It's because of you guys so much. And thank you guys so much for always watching and showing support to my channel. You guys are the best. And as always, I am MarioFan520, and I will see you next time. Peace out.